Hello, my friends. It's Deb Colitas here, and it's time to just get to work. Welcome to my studio slash office slash home slash everything else in life. It is my pleasure to be joining you again for episode 4 of what hopefully will start a long-lasting relationship together as we talk about life, business, entrepreneurship, and just stepping out of our comfort zones. So let's just get to work. Today, we are going to be inspired by Grant Cardone. He wrote The 10X Rule, and if you have not been living under an entrepreneurial rock, you've definitely been exposed to him in one way or another through social media, YouTube, interviews, spots on TV, things all over the place, as he is an individual and an example of who has taken life where his life was in a point of full distraction, talk about just family loss, drug addiction, making wrong decisions, being in the wrong place at the right time. And yet there was amazing things that happened that allowed him to be where he is now. And what I love about Grant Cardone is because there's a lot of talking heads out there. And I'm definitely the type of person that I want to emulate success, but I want success that has meaning. And Grant has been one of those people that understand that his most valuable treasure is his family. As you see him interact with his wife, his 2 beautiful girls, just the way he has set something up. If he had to choose between his family and losing it all tomorrow, he would lose it all tomorrow to then figure out how to rebuild it up again. So that is where the emotional clinch is. So as we get into today, getting rid of distractions, what is our mental capacity? This is the example that we're going to be taking. I highly recommend that you step into a bookstore. I know it's an ancient place. Take a look at where 10X Rule is. Take a look at the books around it. Feather through it. This is from 2011. Grant, God bless if you ever watch this, but I hope you get a new picture because that one is, quite styling from 2011. But no hate here, just love. So let's dive into what does it really mean to get rid of distraction? And it's not necessarily a physical distraction, but it's that mental capacity that we all have to take ourselves to the next level and even to define what that level is. So within this book, I find this has been so valuable that as we have teenagers that we employ on our farm or our restaurant, I will pay them $100 to read the 10X Rule and talk with me about it. Both of our kids through high school, they were coming home with, I don't know, fancy literature. We're like, no, your summer reading is the 10X Rule. My husband actually read this book. He doesn't read anything but the back of a cereal box and what's online. So that'll tell you something. And oh, my 75-year-old mother did too. So it's definitely something that I want to have a value. So you'll find in the comments down below or on the website, definitely the resource for this podcast is going to take you through all the questions that I asked today. You'll be able to work through it. Maybe you want to journal a bit, talk to someone about different things. And yeah, go out and pick up this book and we'll see where we go. And hey, Mr. Cardone, if you're ever in for it, let's talk about what it means to just get to work and we'll go from there. So, all right, it was something that's interesting that within the first, 24 pages that goes on to is here's a quote, a direct quote. If you don't consider it your duty to live up to your potential, then you simply won't. If you're not going to live up to your duty to live up to your, if you don't consider it your duty to live up to your potential, then you simply won't. Like, that's crazy. Like the whole concept of that we all have God-given potential. How are we using it? If you're a Bible-based person like me, you're talking about the parable of the talents, right? Some give a lot, some give a little, but it's what do you do with it? Have you ever sat down and made that ultimate list of what your potential is? My daughter has been a huge Cinderella fan ever since, the first screening of it on, it wasn't even DVD. I think it was VHS 20 years ago. And, fairy tale or not, Disney or not, it's the whole idea where Cinderella knew she had more potential and she had dreams. And yes, the fairy godmother came in, but I fully believe that, little Miss Cinderella would have definitely figured things out and tossed aside the evil stepmom and those crazy ass sisters somewhere along the way. Even without that. Now, the whole glass slipper thing and everything else we won't get into, but she knew that there was a duty going on. So let's bring this into the real world of it all. As I am in my marriage or parenting or with my business or my phenomenal team, I know and I hire and I bring in and I develop individuals and myself to go, what is my potential? What can I reach in a different way? This podcast is a crazy example. Again, 3 years in the making of me just getting up the courage, the passion, the time, the organization, the subject matter, whatever it is. But I knew I had this potential to be able to talking to you today. What would I be doing if I wasn't doing this? Well, I wouldn't be living up to it. So as you look at your life and the examples that you have right now, and whether you are very happy in the direction you're going, hey, focus in on what is all that potential that's coming along the way. And then you've got the other half. If you're really miserable right now, you don't like where you are, you don't like the people you're with, you're not happy in your relationships, what is your potential as a father? What is your potential as a leader? What is your potential if you left your day job to start something else? Now, that doesn't mean you leave your day job because Deb said so today, because you want to then go be the grand master of all photography or the next, tech star. There are many things along the way, but it's, hey, how do you go from where you are to what your potential is, and then feeling that it's your duty along the way? Because here's the next thing. It's impossible to do something positive when you're spending your time making excuses. How many excuses have you made today? Oh my gosh, my first excuse is when my alarm goes off and it's like, just 15 more minutes. What do I need? And hey, yes, there are those days that those 15 minutes of extra shut-eye make a difference in your success for the day. But then what is my responsibility at night of why I need those extra 15 minutes in the morning? Something simple as a sleeping pattern can get into, a negative time of making excuses for yourself of where you can be positive. And that's a distraction. What other distractions are there that, when you're not working on things that are positive? Are there individuals in your life, specifically your family, that are drama? What needs to happen? And I know it's not easy, right? Oh, I'm just not going to call them back ever again. Or, oh, I'm just going to, ignore that responsibility as a son or daughter or parent. It's not that easy, but there are boundaries, and boundaries should be like playing Candyland instead of Chutes and Ladders. And I've used that before, right? I should probably frame those board games around here. How are you going about your time so that when you notice that it's something negative, you can identify it, step back, consider it from a 30,000-foot level, and then be able to go forward with an action plan of what needs to happen? Let's say there's a huge conflict at work, right? The place that's dragging you down right now. Are you going to go into it with more negativity, complaining, not focusing on solutions, just trying to be where you can get by with the minimum and be comfortable? Or are you going to walk in, set a meeting with the right person to find action, make a list of accountability of how you need to be more transparent and on top of things, and, just be spending time with people? Maybe invite that really difficult person to lunch in one way or another, because, hey, that's where your income is coming from right now. And then take that to the entrepreneurial factor. If you are avoiding difficult situations, shame on you. How many of your employees right now are absolutely miserable and you know it, and you haven't sat down to talk with them about it? Because that is just, the influence of negativity goes on and on and on. You can't have the Debbie Downers. And I know, because I'm named Debbie, so I've been with that my whole life of don't be a Debbie Downer, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I get it. And so with that, I'm extremely positive with my people at all times, even if I'm having that tough day, because that is what is needed to drive success in your team, in your business, in your growth, and all that you are doing. And so if you don't recognize it as positive, you need to come up with how to make it so. It's not a quick action. This is not the microwave that we talk about. We're in and out and ta-da, it's popcorn. No, you got to get rid of the smell first. You got to clean it out. You got to make sure that you know where you're going and how that plan is going to be taking action. And that plan is going to go haywire at times. But when you always come back to that positive notion, and if you go back and listen to episode 1, what are your priorities? What are you anchoring yourself in to make sure that that success is there, and how you need it in all of the best ways? And here's something that, Grant brings up a lot in 10X. It's about being disciplined and consistent and having persistent actions. And that is the win of the day for success. Time and time again, as I meet with entrepreneurial clients of mine, or people who are seeking a huge transition, The biggest brick wall or fence or even glass that they can see through is put up by their own inaction or the misgivings of what it actually means to take the next step. Because there is such a desire as, just people, we want to remain comfortable. Like, oh, it's really nice leaving work at 5 every day, and I don't have to think about anything until the next day when I wake up, but I'm waking up dreading going to work. And then, I paddle through the day, I swim through, but then, hey, at 5 o'clock, I'm so excited to walk out that door and not have a problem. That is the problem, my friends. If you are waking up every single day to just survive, you need to get back to what is the passion that you have. Now, I'm saying this, it doesn't matter what your job is, whether you are a dishwasher, which you are if you're a CEO, and a literal dishwasher in all ways, or if you are the one making the boardroom decisions. Individuals can be just as miserable or just as happy in those positions. And that's what needs to be, looked at. And that is where the discipline, the consistency, and persistent actions are to determine success. Don't take normal actions. Example in our lives. There is a broken sink where our restaurant is at, and we lease the space. The sink has been broken for many years. So what do? Of course, we mention the broken sink to those that could be responsible. But at that, we just do our dishes better. We have figured out systems around the broken sink. So that is not the, oh my gosh, it's dishes. What are we going to do? But rather it's, okay, it's dishes. Let's get it done. And let's get out of the way of the broken sink. So what is the broken sink in your life? Maybe you have control to fix it. Maybe you need to find a new way to wash dishes. But either way, don't take normal actions. If there's an opportunity to come up with a plan and present it to someone, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. You already knew that this wasn't then the right job for you. You need to be working on what's next. Don't worry about being uncomfortable, because uncomfortable means you're actually taking action for something new and different and what the possibilities could be. Because if you're going to keep treading water and swimming where you're at in the pool and not discover what it's like to take a dive off the diving board, what's the purpose of being there in different ways? So here's a kicker. We have pushed our children on this and our team members and, employees and even family members. Maybe you're not accomplishing your goals because your goals are not high enough. What a concept, right? In the world, it's, make your goal and then make all the different steps to get to it. And if it's too high, well, then we'll backtrack it a little bit. I see this in the school system all the time, whether it's public, private, I don't care. It's this whole idea with our kids. And then I see it come into the workplace of, you can't meet that goal. Well, then let's adjust that goal. No, the goal stays the same. The game plan is what's there. Does a football coach in the NFL goes, that's okay. We don't need to reach for the Super Bowl this year? Heck no. A World Cup, World Series, NBA championship, I don't care. Sports is a great analogy for this. No, you reconfigure the team, you retrain, you get your mindset in order. And sometimes it takes years. Moneyball is such a great example of that, right? The whole story of the Oakland A's and Billy Blanks and, then the Red Sox. Oh my gosh. It's just a phenomenal example of, hey, when you notice something needs to be adjusted, take a look at the creativity that is needed to find how you get to that goal or set a higher goal. And it's amazing how people respond. If you walk into a room and you have your sales team in front of you, and maybe it was just an awful sales quarter, and then do you adjust and say, hey guys, sorry, I set a goal too high. Let's bring it down a notch on your sales schedule. Or you go, hey guys, we need to get our acting gear. What do we need to do to catch up and even go beyond? What's more inspiring and what's going to get more out of individuals? And how are you as a leader going to get there? So on the personal level, wherever you are in the scope of misery to elated happiness, if you are not accomplishing your goals, take a moment and kick them up a higher notch. When we declare bankruptcy, we weren't hitting any of our goals at that moment. And did we say, we're going to stay nice and comfortable. From here on out, we're going to take no risks and we're just going to do what the world says that we should do? No, we had an incredible plan to go from here to here. And I can prove it because the inscription on the 10X is when I got it for us, my husband and I, in 2018. And it says, Christopher, you are my 10X. We battled the past 10 years and won. Let's kick the next decade into high gear. That was us setting our goals higher than it ever been before, what we were comfortable with, what we knew how to do. Who the heck knew? But this is where we're at, and this is why we can be who we are as a couple, in our faith, in our family, in our business, because we were always willing to set the goals higher than what they had ever been placed at before. And how do you kick your goals higher and success? Effort, creativity, energy, ideas, and persistence. Oh my goodness. Let's break those down. Effort. I keep going to when you wake up in the morning because that is a key telltale sign of, well, what is your day going to be? How much effort are you able to put into every single decision and moment that you have? And hey, as a mom, as a wife, I get it. There are those days you are wiped. There is no more energy. There is no more opportunity to sneak in one more thing that can possibly take your time and your mental capacity. And those are the moments, my friend, there's a balance between pushing through and doing a dead stop and figuring out what you need to rejuvenate. The most valuable moment my husband ever gave me is I had a dream job. After we had declared bankruptcy, there was an opportunity for me to be working within a team that was an agricultural technology company. And I learned the most ever from this group of individuals. And then it tragically fell apart in a heart-wrenching way that totally killed me emotionally. My husband during that time totally recognized it wasn't up. You're unemployed now, so get your butt out of bed and this is unacceptable. No, he loved me through it. He recognized that I had something that I thought was going to be up here. It ended up crashing in a direction that I didn't see coming. And at that moment, I had to recalculate everything of where I thought the trajectory of what my, next success and accomplishments were going to be. And so he said, take your time. He said, we'll figure this out. I had that team member with me. And so as it relates to effort and when those moments are that you do need to rejuvenate, find your people. I hope that you're as blessed as I am to have the people that live in your house that can be your support system. Or maybe it's those that are at, where you go to worship or your community or where you work out or finding a networking group that can be that support. But you need to find those other people who have experience going through rough times so that they can lift you up. Because what happens during that time of rejuvenation, as long as your focus and priorities are still in play, is you do rejuvenate, you do recover, you do find those opportunities to learn from where you have been, to know where you're at, and then set the goals of what is forward. And that's certainly, what the time was needed to be able to establish 7 years ago. Focus Point Communications have a tremendous team, be fired from another job in between. Oh, that's a whole other story. And roll with the punches. But I was prepared. It was like, all right, here's another hiccup. Let's go with it. And that's the creativity of it all. And why does my husband and I have a farm, a gyro restaurant, a marketing firm, a snow removal business, encouraging our son to have a trash cleaning business, our daughter going into PR? It's just, absolutely crazy. But this is the creativity that we just love together. Energy is a comment I get about all the time. Deb, how do you have so much energy? The answer is, I don't. I crash, but I focus my energy where it needs to be at the right time during each day to be at my best for those moments. And then at the moments where I can't be my best, I make sure that those around me know I'm just chilling out right now. I need my 15 minutes of doom scrolling. I need my hour of watching, The Bear. Oh my gosh, have you seen The Bear? It's an amazing show. Definitely. Those are my moments where I step aside and, I just chill. But they're actually very planned. And that's how I know I have energy. And here's the God honest truth as a grown-up adult. You got to eat well. You got to sleep. You need to be active and exercise. And I'm not saying you need to be absolutely crazy and awesome like my husband who's exercising 5 days a week and in the gym and all this kind of craziness, but get outside. I am walking at least 3 to 4 to 5 times a week. Make sure your caffeine intake. I know that's a hard one. Your alcohol intake. Oh my gosh, I'm killing you. But these are the things when you get your body into a balanced reset and absolutely kind of strip all of the external stimulants, sugar, processed foods, things of that nature, it is an incredible full circle that you will feel because then you gain a baseline. Then you can go in for the annual blood tests, the specialists as a woman. Oh my gosh, if you don't have a GYN that you're talking to, that's important. Guys, if you don't have a family practitioner that you can be talking to about your prostate, about hormonal changes that you have, that is so important as you go from your 20s to 30s to 40s to 50s to 60s and beyond. You have to have these experts in your life because there's resources out there. Because our goal in that health and that energy is to be here as long as we are given with, to be able to make the impact that God has called us to do. Because the next thing is ideas and persistence. And I think they go hand in hand. We are energized by having ideas and being able to be persistent with them and where we can take them. You don't just wake up and say, hey, let's buy 46 more acres of land and expand our farm. Well, that has been a dream. That's what we're doing right now at Valley Fruits and Veggies, and we'll see where it takes us. It's not just every day that, you have persistence, because that goes back to energy. And if you don't have energy, then you kind of lose your creativity and effort. And you see how they all kind of clash together, but they can wonderfully complement and lift you up and go into the excitement of day to day. So from those very important 5 words, effort, creativity, energy, ideas, and persistence, here's the personal question. You ready? Are you looking to solve problems or avoid them? I'm going to start with the hard one first. Relationships in your life. Oof. Are there things that are turbulent? And I'm not talking about unsettled things from like 20 years ago that, don't impact things now that you've moved on. I'm talking about, are there individuals in your life that are causing you strife or others that need to be resolved? Most often, forgiven. Maybe that other person isn't going to ever talk to you again. But you know what you can work on is a heart of, transparency and seeking where you could have been better, and then coming to terms and seeking forgiveness. And however you need to go about doing that, wonderfully, as an Orthodox Christian, we have a very wonderful direct path of how we can have support in those moments with one another, of those that we're seeking forgiveness, and also our relationship at church and with our priest. Maybe you have a different way of, going through things, but seek that, understand that, because through that you gain a peace. And when you have a peace, you're not avoiding problems, you're solving them. You're adding value to others and all that is happening and going on. And that's a major, checkpoint of accountability, especially as you walk into your house. All of those stay-at-home parents, oh my gosh, I have been there. I have done that. And that is the hardest job of all times, because your spouse is coming in at the end of their day and they've had their craziness, but your craziness has kind of been out here. And it's that moment where you just not only need to kind of verbally let things go, you need to hand over the kids. There's dinner happening. There's homework. There's, 10 other things of laundry. You don't know where the cat is and the dog's been, not fed for days. Those are the moments where, you have to then look to solve the problem and not avoid them with one another, because avoidance becomes strife. Solving the problem is you and your spouse making eye contact, knowing that it might take a good 30 minutes before you're both ready to engage, because there's kids jumping all over the place and you need help taking the trash out, but giving yourself leniency at those moments to step into the problem to solve them, and not just avoid in silence or get angry. How often are you angry? That's probably a good indication of how things are being avoided or things are being tackled and solved as a problem. All right, 2 more here as we wrap this up, my friends. So are you working so that you just have enough, or are you working so that work is the reward? That's how I knew that I was good as a stay-at-home mom, for those first X amount of years, because every day was that a reward. I couldn't wait to be with the kiddos. I couldn't wait to then figure out how to serve my family better. But then I also knew as the kids were growing, I was like, all right, I need something else here. I need something else to fill my time and space as they're at school, the needs of the family. And some of those were put upon me, and some of those I got to choose. But, that goes as an entrepreneur, owning your own business, being in the workplace. Are you working every day because you're checking off the Dave Ramsey boxes? And don't get me wrong, I think Dave Ramsey is awesome, but there's also parts of that, oh, look, I'm out of debt and I'm this and I'm that. But if you're not fulfilled, if you don't have what you want to be driving you every day, that's great. You don't have debt, but you're miserable every day. That's great. You can retire at age 61 and a half, but what are you going to do next? What's there to fill that space? So here's the kicker. Do you control your time? As we go back to the get rid of distractions, that's the biggest thing for me. When I'm not controlling my time and how my day's laid out and what is needed and how I'm serving my clients and how I'm here with you today, so excited to record, those are the moments where work should provide a purpose, a mission, and a sense of accomplishment in all that you do. And that is, hey, it doesn't mean that you're always going to enjoy the yard work or the dishes, but it's the sense of accomplishment of knowing what that brings to you in life. And you'll find that as I talk to you, I use very basic things that then spread and understand in the greater good. If you are that, high impact VP, making high level decisions, but you are loss of a purpose and a mission and a sense of accomplishment because you're traveling 200 days out of the year, that's something to reconsider. Different things that go on as a entrepreneur, that maybe you're tired of the grind of 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And so you're losing that purpose and mission. It's okay to say what fulfilled me then and the creativity is not fulfilling me now. Can you be brave enough in your time to start redirecting, delegating, and figuring out, well, what is next to whether this should be rejuvenated or wait, it's time to sell or pass on and do something new in a different way. All right. Believe it or not, my friends, we've only gotten halfway through this of all the tidbits of what I want to do. So that's why I'm splitting this into two parts. So let's get back together, next time. You can click down below for the next episode if it's already released. If not, it's coming soon. But here's the Deb action and the Deb impact for today. So the Deb action is hopefully by watching or listening to this podcast, the magic algorithm of the internet or Spotify or YouTube is then suggesting some other individuals who are voices in this realm of business and mindset. So when in your day can you push play that maybe has been a time that you can swap out for something that hasn't been positive or hasn't been rejuvenating? Are you a commuter? Are you, needing something in the background while you're working along the way? Do you need something to just kind of listen to as you get up in the morning and are brushing your teeth and getting breakfast? Or is there another time that you can spend, digesting thoughts, being inspired by others and just getting great ideas? Because, the fight of stepping away from comfort and exposing yourself to risk can be the greatest reward of owning your own time and having incredible energy and passion each and every day to wake up to, and then as you go to sleep to be excited for the next day. So the Deb action today is, how can you fit in some more listening and learning during your day just to impact in little bits and pieces? Even if it's in 5-10 minute increments, who cares? It's what happens. The Deb impact. See the link to the worksheet below. I take you through all the different points today. I think we had a total of 8 of them. I want you to define your potential because the world is going to try to put crazy labels on you, right? You were no good in school. Who cares? Personally, you declared bankruptcy. You must be awful and stuff. No, that's not the story and how it goes on with it. You were incarcerated. That's a huge one, right? There's tons of people that are now hugely successful. Check out the story of Dave's bread. Oh my gosh, his bread is awesome. And then, what does it feel like to go to work versus just getting to work? If the answer is not excited, I think you know what you need to do. So thank you, my friends, for spending this time with me. So excited to get to part 2 of 10X Rule here with Grant Cardone. Check out Grant. Check out his book. Again, Grant, we're open here. Love to have you. And thanks so much. God bless. And just get to work.